Well, hey everyone, we are brought to you today by AudiofileUSA.com, the most gorgeous used records on planet Earth. AudiofileUSA.com only sells excellent and near mint vinyl records, even some mint ones still sealed. So search, dig, and get a box of gorgeous used vinyl at AudiofileUSA.com. And we're also brought to you by the Groove Washer, the best record cleaner in the land. Groove Washer also now sells Groove Guard archive quality record sleeves. Get all your vinyl accessories, cleaners, sleeves, and more at GrooveWasher.com and use discount code VinylGuide10. And with that, on with the show. Well, hey everyone, it's Nate. Welcome to episode 326 of The Vinyl Guide, the podcast for record collectors, music nerds, and people who love music stories and factoids. And today, we've got lots of all of those. We welcome to the show Matt Pike of the band Sleep, High on Fire, and now with a new solo album, Pike vs. the Automaton, available right now on your streaming services with crazy vinyl variants in limited numbers at pikeversustheautomaton.com. Now today, Matt and I talk all about his time in Sleep, the early days, the initial rejection and growth in popularity of Dopesmoker, Sleep's involvement with Third Man Records, the launch of The Sciences, creating the Third Man Vault package, the rare records of Sleep, the recording and upcoming shows for Pike vs. the Automaton, and heaps more. Plus, there's an extended commercial-free version of this interview, as with most other episodes, only for show patrons, at patreon.com/vinylguide. You like what we got going on here and you want to keep the show going and maybe even buy me a burrito? Well, all you got to do is go to patreon.com/vinylguide, help sponsor the show. You get all sorts of extra bits, which this week even includes more Matt Pike. And right quickly now, before we talk to Matt, I'm here to ask you, to beseech you, please subscribe to the Vinyl Guide podcast. Use your podcast app and click subscribe or follow or a plus sign, whatever term it is for your podcast app, just so you get access to heaps more Vinyl Guide interviews and episodes, such as episode 325 with Ambrose Kenny Smith of King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard and the Murlocs, episode 320 with comedy legend Tommy Chong, episode 302 with Al Jorgensen of Ministry, episode 293 with Billy Gibbons of ZZ Top, episode 243 with Dave Lombardo of Slayer, Misfits, Mr. Bungle, and heaps more. Subscribe to the Vinyl Guide, scroll to your heart's delight, and enjoy it, you maniacs. All right, enough chit-chat. Let's talk to Mr. Matt Pike of Sleep, High on Fire, and Pike vs. the Automaton. Mr. Pike.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm
Can you hear
good,
me?
man. I can hear you. I can see you, too. You handsome bastard.
Yeah.
Mate, I got to tell you, this new album, Pike vs. the Automaton. What is an automaton?
A giant robot that guards the gods' treasures or islands, or, he's a guardian of the gods, and he's a mechanical robot, like a giant. Yeah, and I was kind of, metaphorically, I was comparing it to the world, like this giant, just all his cell phones and computers brainwashing people and that kind of stuff. Yeah, it was, and it's kind of like me against the world now. It's just how I feel about the world right now, or especially, I'm a little happier right now than I was, but during COVID, I was going crazy not knowing if I'd ever be able to play a show again,
Right.
It's like, yeah, there was more nefarious shit at work than just a disease. It's just,
So, on this show, we talk about vinyl records, we talk about music collections, and I will bet just about anything you've got a very solid record collection. The way I picture it is with a big fuck-off 1970s quadraphonic system, speakers the size of mini fridges, and probably 70 to 100 just really solid metal rock records. Did I project that right, or is it something different?
No, I wish. I mean, I have a lot of records that I've gotten over the years, and I'll pick them up here and there. So I got a decent stack of them, but I haven't had a record player or stereo like that in a really long time. Yeah, and I had meant to go get one because I used to have one, and then you get these relationships and girls start mixing their vinyl with shit, and then all of a sudden you move out and, yeah, you're missing a lot more vinyl than you used to have. And so, yeah, I hadn't, since I had one here for a little bit, I had a vinyl player, but that has since been kind of gone. So, yeah, something to think about, because I was out on the road so much, I wasn't even really trying, and then, and I love vinyl, don't get me wrong, I grew up on vinyl, I have a lot of vinyl, it's, but it's varied, because I lost a lot of my vinyl to, just circumstances, so, I'm sorry to disappoint you if that's what you're expecting. And actually, you saying that made me wish I had all my vinyl back and my fucking record players back and all that stuff.
So you do still have a stack of records there. Describe what records are they? The Sabbaths, the Zeppelins. Anything surprising in there? Oh yeah, I have like a bunch of obscure kind of metal like picture discs, and I have like Celtic Frost. That's like the Emperor's Return one, and I have a Venom crazy one. That's really hard to find. I have the Motorhead leather one. I have a few obscure ones. My roommate, though, who lives with me, has a huge vinyl collection, and it's ridiculous. He has some vinyls that are worth like fucking $15,000 because they're like first pressings. No one can find of this or that, and he's all obscure metal quarterly. So I do, but yeah, we need to get a better record player setup in there for sure. Yeah, and I still have like my Motley Crue and my fucking Led Zeppelin and my Black Sabbath and Pink Floyd and like, David Gilmour's solo record, just classic shit, Circle Church, Black Flag, The Process of Weeding Out, and stuff like that. But yeah, I haven't fixed my vinyl problem in a little bit, so I've been listening to everything digital, like being lazy, which kind of sucks, actually. You just inspired me. We'll just say that. we gotta fix that for you. I'm not sure how you made it through COVID without a working record player.
Like I said, I just played all the time, and I have my computer and big studio speakers and my PA in the garage, so I can fucking crank whatever I have on digital really easily. But I can tell the difference between analog and digital. I know some are round and some are square. Digital is square, and analog is round waves that sound better to me, too. I can tell the difference.
How important were records for you growing up?
Absolutely the most important thing aside of guitar shit, Yeah, I played records all day long. I just have my little practice amp. I put on Slayer, Exodus, or, Metallica, or any of those records when thrash metal was first coming out, when, hardcore punk was actual hardcore punk, and there was crossover and there's a DRI stuff, and then I put on the classics, like my dad always had Led Zeppelin, my dad always had Sabbath and weird shit like that. So, and just getting the art in your face and being able to look through the lyrics and read them as like you're having them sung to you, and then being able to figure out how to play. I mean, it was immeasurably important that I played to everything that I played to.
Right. Is there a record that the lightning bolt struck you at that point that said, you know what, this is what I want to do?
Oh, yeah. It'd have to be when I heard the song Into the Void. That one was like important. And then Ozzy, Blizzard of Oz, and that era of Ozzy, some ZZ Top stuff was like really big to me. Jimi Hendrix was really big to me. Definitely Van Halen was big to me. AC/DC, Iron Maiden, all the classics like that. Judas Priest. Mm-hmm. The thrash revolution hit. Like it was like Metallica was the first to like really break through that veil, and then what followed was Anthrax, Slayer. I got to go to all those shows when I was a kid, and I did it. And I dig in the bargain bin at this place called JB&H Records, and I just buy random like what looked cool to me or something that I heard of from another kid, and then the tape trading world started. And people were sending each other, their demos and their this and that, and like rare stuff. I don't know. I was big on it when it was more predominant. It seemed like it went away for a while when there was CDs. Like people still had vinyl, but it was like everybody's trying this new CD thing. And then CDs failed, and then everybody went back to vinyl because it was the perfect thing in the first place. That, and I like cassette tapes too. But yeah, anything that is, I've recorded the acid tape with Sleep at Third Man. They still have all those machines working, and it was a real cool experience. Like, really.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, there's no overdubs available at that. It was whatever you recorded stuck.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, whatever. You had to be good when you went in. You had to be ready.
Was that a little nerve-wracking?
No, not at all. I mean, my material, if I play it that much, I know it back to back. I usually don't fuck up. Or if I fuck up, I'm really good at covering it. Yeah, because there's no second chances. But if you master the art of like covering up your fuck up, yeah, people's attention span only goes so long, so they'll be all, "What was that?" And then you'll be back in the thing, and if you, yeah.
By the way, that's not just for music; that's for life in general.
Yeah, you got to act like you know what you're doing. Look like you know what you're doing.
Question for you, because I know how heavy an influence Tony Iommi is on you, on the whole genre. Have you ever met or spent any time with our Lord and Savior Iommi before?
No. And like, it's really weird because I've had opportunities and I almost like was scared to, but it was also at like a Nom show and I didn't want to wait in line for, although I would have been stoked to just meet him. And I've been like literally 10 feet away from that guy, but I didn't, it was just odd. I don't get starstruck that easy, but Tony Iommi, it's like, dude, it's like the leader of the temple. It's hard to walk up to God and do that. Although, like, I got over my Lemmy thing like that too when I went on tour with him, and he walked up to me. So, but yeah, there's very few people I get starstruck by, but that is the absolute highest that I could even have. And kind of like shit my pants and like, oh god damn, fuck, that's fucking Iommi.
So you were a little starstruck with Lemmy, a little goofy with Tony Iommi. Who else is on that list of your musical gods?
Oh, probably David Gilmour, Angus Young, Rob Halford, and anybody in Priest from then. Yeah, just some of the bands that I named, dude, like Steve Harris or Adrian Smith or Dave Murray, I'd be freaked out on. But I get over it. It's not like I'm afraid of it. But Iommi was like a different case altogether. Him and like John McLaughlin, I'd probably know. I'd be like, dude, what the fuck? I can't talk.
So you grew up in the Bay Area. This is during the buildup of thrash, right? Where in the Bay Area did you live, and did you go to a lot of thrash? Were you part of that community?
As a kid, yeah, I was pretty young when I moved there. I was like 17. It was like 1989 when I got to the Bay. And I had come from, living in Denver. And in Denver, I was in the woods a lot because my mom had an affinity for mountain men. So I was in, there was a lot of like deep teepee survival crap going on that I had to do. Yeah, I went from Denver to San Jose to Oakland, and then I lived in Oakland for fucking ever. So,
right.
And I was in San Jose for quite a few years too.
So you would frequent the Cactus Club or Paramount Imports, those sort of places in San Jose?
Yeah. The Cactus Club, we used to call that the Practice Club. Mm-hmm. And the Effects Club that were down there. We used to play it all the time. And so did my good friend who later on, the guitarist from Dear Deceased, became the bass player for High on Fire when we all moved to Oakland. Yeah, and then I moved to Oakland and I was there forever. And I don't know, there was just a point in time where I was just on tour so much and I just needed to get out of that that place for a little bit because lots of my friends were just fucking dying on drugs or bad shit happening, crashing on motorcycles. People were really close to me, and I lost so many friends. It'd just be painful to go home. And I was like, I'm going to get out of here. I met with, she was moving to Portland. I moved to Portland, and then, yeah, I've been here ever since. So, but yeah, the Bay was awesome. When I first moved there, like fucking the barn, there was lots of punk. I went to Gilman Street a lot too.
Right.
And I'd go from those 8 all the way and take the BART or get a ride. And my friend who was older than us that had a band, we'd all go up to Gilman Street. Or there was a lot of fucking cool thrash shit going on. And then they had all the pay-to-play places that sucked, but I'd play those too. The Stone, the Omni,
Keystone.
There were other ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with Sleep, you had 2 albums that had let's say the typical 8 to 10 songs, pretty typical approach for bands. And then you moved to Jerusalem or Dopesmoker that was like 1 long song. So what inspired that transition to drop the multi-song format and just focus on one piece?
I don't know. It was kind of like Al threw that idea at me, and I thought it was a good idea. And and then we started writing, and we wrote it in like 3 different long pieces. They're all like 20 to 23 minutes long. And I don't know. We just thought it was a good idea. Not many people had done it, and we were all very into pot in the old Bible Testament, and we were kind of mixing that. That's what that weird kind of cult idealism came out of is just being weird kids. Like, it's almost like dub music meets metal music meets, I don't know, just a bunch of, my guitar playing, I guess, and metalhead that got stuck in the middle of it.
Mm-hmm. Well, now we tend to, there's genres around, stoner rock and doom and things like that where, dope is really intertwined in that, very, very deeply. It seems like when you guys were working on Jerusalem, Dopesmoker, that was relatively new. Was that, or am I projecting on that?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was very, very new. And like death metal was going on then. Like, there wasn't a whole lot of bands doing what we were doing. We were doing the people we'd play with all these super fucking Cannibal Corpse and all these crazy bands that like were from Florida and like, which I liked those bands a lot, but we were just very different and people didn't know what to make of us, which later clicked on to a certain type of culture. So it was kind of ahead of its time, and then we broke up and we came back to it, and it was huge. So it had time to grow. That's a true word of mouth band, and that tends to last longer than the new hype.
Because a lot of the bands you were playing with, it sounds like they were trying to go faster. At that point, thrash was like, okay, how quickly can you do the double bass? You're trying to amp things up, and you guys just went the complete opposite way. So that must have confused a lot of people.
Yeah, it's the blast beat, but we were patient. Like, me and Al would play one note and wait for the drums to do this entire fucking pattern. And then we started noticing it was the power behind that, like waiting. And then when you hit that one note, that note meaning more than like the gnarliest, bouncing around. Ours was more, and then you wait, it has a different effect on people, and I think we were experimenting in that type of musical science.
Yeah, you're playing with tension. You're building it up and then releasing it. It's very deep, especially with the low frequencies and how it affects the listeners' bodies. I imagine there's some sort of PhD science project in there to discover what exactly that unlocks in the audience.
Oh yeah. Well, maybe the brown note, I know we did. we've definitely triggered a couple of those we've had to. There's been times we played so goddamn loud, yeah, it was doing it to me. Like, I'd go past my speakers and literally it'd vibrate me so I couldn't see.
So with Jerusalem, the record company rejected it, as I understand, and then TP put it out as Dopesmoker.
Yeah.
Tell me the story of that.
Well, it was me trying to get it out there with TP, who was willing to take that risk. And TP did get sued for that, but he wanted it out there too. And I kind of was like of the same mind, and I was like, dude, okay, if you want to do this, right on. And then I just got with Billy Anderson, and I gave Chris Now a little bit of money from it, me a little bit of money, and we used it for just remastering it and making a better mix of it, and so it wasn't chopped up into different songs like they had it all chopped up into 9 different parts. We wanted one playthrough, so pardon me, I'm doing a bong in.
Yeah, let's hear it. Let's hear it.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
Good.
All right. Vinyl. Yeah. Plastic vinyl. It does. They go together like, very good.
Absolutely. Okay. Can you smoke too much? Do you sometimes go way over your limit? Is that a problem at all?
No, not for me. I don't really actually smoke that much anymore. It's like I'll need a little rip here and there, and we have edibles. That's where you can go overboard. The edibles, like you'll eat an edible and like you'll be fine. And then I've ate these gummies before we got on an airplane once. Me and Scott Kelly's son, he's like, hey, he's like my nephew or something. We just known each other. I've known him since he was a baby. He gave me this gummy, and it fucking destroyed me. I could barely even get on the airplane. I was like, drooling on myself. Like, what the fuck, dude? So you can eat too much way easier than smoke too much, I do. But the weed growers are so good at it now. Like, yeah, there's times where it's like, whoa, what the fuck was that I just smoked? I gotta let this wear off for a while.
Right. So for many years, Sleep had broken up, but Dopesmoker just continued building this reputation. Was that very strange? What was your perspective of that during those years where the band was broken up, but this recording that you did 5+ years ago is becoming more popular than ever?
We'll be back after these messages.
Hey everyone, let me tell you about AudiofileUSA.com. AudiofileUSA.com is a fantastic place to buy used records online. AudiofileUSA.com has a heap of inventory, like tens of thousands of records you could search through online, and they are all excellent and near mint quality. These are your final upgrades, beautiful records that you can enjoy for years to come. AudiofileUSA.com is a family-owned and operated business, and they work hard to find the absolute cleanest records in the world and make them available to you. Head up there now, AudiofileUSA.com, search and dig through their selection and find the deals. Get a box of love on its way to you now from AudiofileUSA.com. Now, I know that you know that the Groove Washer is the best record cleaner in the world, but did you know that Groove Washer now makes archival quality record sleeves too? Yep. The world's best record cleaner is now making some fantastic sleeves and record accessories for a limited time introductory offer. The Groove Washer Groove Guard record sleeves are absolutely fantastic, so head up there now and try them for yourself. Go to groovewasher.com and use discount code VinylGuide10. That's the Groove Washer record cleaners, record sleeves, and other protection for your record collection. That's groovewasher.com.
Now we return to the program, already in progress.
No limits.
For many years, Sleep had broken up, but Dopesmoker just continued building this reputation. Was that very strange? What was your perspective of that during those years where the band was broken up, but this recording that you did 5+ years ago is becoming more popular than ever?
Well, it was kind of a trip. I don't know. knew it'd do something for some people, but how big it got, like, we still to this day go, dude, nice fucking band. What the hell? How'd we have this much success? It's like crazy. But, you know, it's a good band, and we definitely put on a crazy show. There's no two Sleep shows that are ever the same.
I mean, I imagine you were getting word that, the record just keeps selling. There was this demand for the band. When was the moment where you decided, let's revisit the Sleep project?
Well, it's when we got back together and we got offered a show for probably more money than we'd ever made at a show before in England, with flights included, and, 2 days, and we're playing with Jesus Lizard and Devo and a bunch of really cool fucking bands. Like, we were just like, yeah, let's do it. We all agreed on it. Went and did it. And after that, we started fighting for some of the vinyl back and doing everything we could to get Chris to play. And Chris didn't really want to, so we got Jason, and me and Al just made arrangements to see, like, where it would go, and it went far.
Yeah.
So it was something worth putting that time into, for sure.
Do you know where all the Sleep tapes are? Do you know if they exist somewhere, or, that they're at least being looked after?
They should be, but I don't know who would have those. I don't even know if someone might have even recorded over some of them, You never know. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I mean, we definitely have versions that were on DAT, I think, maybe. I have no idea. I don't have it, so I can answer that question.
So in 2012, Sleep pressed up a live record from a Denver show. It was a one-time pressing, 420 records on Chalker Place Records. Who is Chalker Place Records?
I don't know. It's some German label, maybe. I forgot. So I don't know. That was like a connection Al made, I think. And and it was I think it's pretty interesting release. I think it's cool. Probably worth a lot of money.
It is.
Manny from Runaway Train, like fucking, we're at the end where he's got the warden all handcuffed to the rail.
It's a great cover.
So he makes oh yeah, makes him die with that fucking matters. Sure.
So, how did the arrangement with Third Man Records come about?
Well, it just came up, and we thought it was like a really good fit once we started exploring. Jack White really puts out some quality shit, and he cares like lots about what he does,
So after the Clarity, they reached out and they said, "Hey, we'd like to do something with you. Maybe make a new album." Was Third Man involved in conceptualization of the Sciences before, or did you guys already plan on recording another album and Third Man came in?
We already have. We recorded with our own money.
Okay.
We had it done, and then we kind of were going to throw it in a room and let people beat each other with sticks for it, Just all, okay, the winner gets to put out this record, so.
That's very smart. You guys are, so in demand at that point. You could call your own shots and self-finance. That's very wise.
Yeah, and you know what? And then you write your own terms. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, if you don't want to do what we want you to do, then we'll give it to someone else. But Third Man came at us with a really, really good offer. I think we had some really good offers from everybody, but that was the one that, like, really... just the quality of vinyl they put out. And I know, and they don't have all bands anything like us on that thing, on that label. We are definitely an original on that particular label. Well, they press their own records too. That's the great part of that label, is you don't have to wait around. They'll press it. They have to press it.
You guys are Sleep was part of the Third Man Vault package, which is, I would assume, is quite an honor. Generally, it's Jack White's projects or the likes of Bob Dylan or Johnny Cash. Sleep's participation in Vault was quite unique. Was that discussed early on with the Sciences album in that stick beating ceremony that you talked about, or was that an idea that came up later?
That's an idea that came up later, and I think it was. I'm not sure. I think that was their idea, and asked us if we wanted to do it, and of course we're like, yeah. I mean, yeah, whatever you want to do. We want more shit out there. We want to do more stuff. So, you know, while you're working, but we also we like being secret about telling people about the release, because that band's big enough to like where you don't have to advertise. It just shows up on the shelf one day and people freak the fuck out, you know? So, that's the way we released the Sciences anyway. Like we gave one little hint, and it was in Morse code, and it was on, I don't even know, Facebook or something. And, that was the only hint that we were making a new record.
So you just gave a Morse code, a bunch of dots and dashes, and someone probably translated that in about 6 minutes?
Yeah, actually, if they figured it out. But yeah, and it just said, it said something like sleep is now in the studio recording a new record, blah, blah, blah. That's all that it was. But other than that, there was no advertisement. It just dropped on Record Store Day.
Yeah.
Showed up.
So what do you think? Do you think in the future there's going to be more Sleep, or is that a completed project?
I can't really say at this point. I got a lot going on. So does Al. Jay's probably got a lot going on. But we'll see. Because, you know, COVID kind of backed things up. It's hard to, like, this album got pushed back far, the one I'm releasing, Pike versus Automaton, because a lot of the presses were like backed up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's people in the world who have records that are bigger than mine that are more important, apparently. And, you know, sometimes you get put down the list a little ways.
So I like that answer because it's not a no. Hopefully we'll all brush up on our Morse code, and maybe we'll hear news of something else in the future. With Pike versus the Automaton, when was this project complete in terms of, you know, you had to get it to the vinyl pressing plants? I mean, what was your deadline, and are those records about ready to ship?
When did I have that in? I had that in the summertime. I think I finished it last August, September or something. And then once we got that in, and I had talked about, you know, what, having that complete mastered. And then we had to shoot these videos. So my wife and I and a couple other friends started a little production company for the project itself. And we shot one video, which was totally fun to do. And we did it all ourselves. We hired a makeup girl and a drone. Our guy, Casey, has a drone. And we just had all these different kinds of cameras and ideas, and we were all writing a script, and we kind of went off script, but it was just fun. And, yeah, Alyssa had made some of her own videos before, and she's good at editing, and so JC. So it, yeah, we ended up doing some DIY videos. And the last one of those just got in right before the release date, which is in a few days. Yep. And yeah, but it's taken up till now because we got backed up. It was supposed to be out in like December. Then it was January. Then it was February. Yeah, now it's February.
How did you approach this solo project different than you would have approached another High on Fire record?
Well, I did it in increments. I didn't try to have the whole thing written. We'd go into the big studio with just ideas and try to get good takes of the ideas, right? And, you know, we'd have the skeleton of a whole song, and then we would work out the rest after we were kicked out of the big studio. We'd have all the basic tracks, and we did it in 3 different sessions. So we do like 3 songs, 3 songs, 3 songs. And we pieced it together, you know, with, we take one track and I'd just figure out the vocals, and then I'd figure out, it was like we were doing it as we were going. And it was like a little more improv-y at that point. And then as it went together, I started, overlapping things and inviting people. Like I'd write a riff for like Todd Burdett, or I'd write for Brent Hines, or something that he knows. Things that you make a platform that would enlighten someone else you want to play with strengths. So you write it towards their style, and then you get their input on it, and then your input on it, and you show them what you got. And it turned out really fucking swell doing that. Mm-hmm. I thought it might be messy, not really work that great, but it turned out fucking awesome.
So the whole going about this, a solo album in this regard, different than you've obviously done with various bands. Is this a process you think you'll do again?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Is there an itch that this album scratched that your other projects couldn't?
Yeah, it was having that much time and taking my time and not having like, we need to put it out. No, it wasn't like that at all. I had half the album done before E1 even approached me, or, I even told them what I was doing, and they're like, dude, really? I'm all, oh yeah, this thing fucking great. I mean, it's all I can do right now. I can't make another High on Fire at the moment, And so, yeah, it was the amount of time spent on it, I think, is what kind of made it good. And, playing with some different musicians and experimenting and just a lot of improving over top of things. And when you find the right niche, keeping it, the layering on it. I did a lot of things that, like, I couldn't do on a Sleep or a High on Fire record, especially, I got like so many guitar tracks on that thing. So I've been practicing a little bit to do our first show, and I have to have another guitar player. Absolutely. I'm about having a synth, and we have to have, some samplers to do samples, because the thing is kind of psychedelic. It has all these things we made for the songs that put the songs and parts together. So it went together like a puzzle, but came out. We were very careful about the way we assembled it.
Right. So you're going to tour this record. You've got some dates you're thinking of?
No, I don't know if we're touring yet. We're going to just try to get our first shows locked down and play a couple shows first. Get used to the music, And then maybe down the road, we'll do a tour on this. We'll have a few more tunes out. Maybe we'll do a single or have like 3 more songs to go with the set. I don't know. I don't have plans all the way yet.
Mm-hmm. What does 2022 look like for you?
Well, I got to make a High on Fire record. I have a couple of Sleep shows here and there, not very many, but like 1, 2, 3. I have like, I think 4 or 5 Sleep shows planned this year. And High on Fire, hopefully we can play some shows here and there and nail down dates to go into the studio. And I've already been working on the High on Fire, which is already fucking, it's going in a really cool direction. So that's what's happening. Yeah. Maybe I published one book. And that was just my lyrics with art. And that was a lot of stuff to put together. And my wife did a big layout of that and all sorts of stuff, which was a lot of work. Mm-hmm. And I might start an autobiography with a ghostwriter friend of mine and see if I can remember things in order.
Yeah, I've talked to a few artists who are doing that right now, and it's like, take lots of notes. There's just little fragments here and there you need to capture before you forget them forever.
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
So it's interesting that, so many of us look up to someone like Tony Iommi for inspiration, someone who's really set a template for many of us in what we look for in music. And a lot of those really good memories of life are around the sort of music that someone like Tony Iommi and Black Sabbath made. It's interesting that you are now part of that community. And the way you look at Tony Iommi, there are many people who look at you as that same sort of visionary, that same sort of pioneer, that same sort of artist. Are you comfortable with the level of influence that you have and the stature that you have in the metal community?
Yeah, to a degree. Yeah, it seems like this is what makes me uncomfortable in the state of the world. People seem to like try to pull me in to speaking a lot about politics, and I really don't like to elaborate on my politics all that much. But then I end up being honest a little bit, and it really puts me in this weird thing where I don't want to be involved in the war against. Well, I am involved in the war against like free speech because I believe free speech is essential for us to even survive without killing each other. But that's about as much as I'll elaborate on, you know. And it's in this environment, I'd rather just make music and say what I want to in my music, you know. That's what makes me uncomfortable about it. But I am definitely flattered and honored that anybody would, you know, consider what I've done. And it has been a lot of work. I mean, I've earned some of it, but what I've done being as influential as it is, you know, it's kind of hard to wrap it around.
Yeah, it's a perspective you could only appreciate after the fact and after that your sacrifice paid off.
Yeah.
So where in your house do you keep your Grammy Award?
Oh, on my hearth.
On your what? Sorry?
Hearth.
Your hearth?
Fireplace.
Oh, okay.
Hearth.
All right.
Above the fireplace. Along with the Lemmy strap. And I got a nail from a crucifixion. Yeah, I have a bunch of creepy stuff on a shrine above my fireplace.
What's the creepiest thing you have there?
I think there's a fetal. Someone gave me a fetal something in formaldehyde, I think it's a pig or I can't remember what it is. It's gross. I don't look at it very often because it's really gross. One of those, they should have put you in a jar over the mantle. You know, like Daniel Plainview.
So Mr. Matt Pike, thank you so much for joining us here. I want to recommend everyone check out Matt's new record, Pike versus the Automaton. If you go to pikeversustheautomaton.com, there's plenty of vinyl copies of that available, some special pressings that are swirled and splattered. They probably won't last very long, so reserve yours at your earliest opportunity. It's a wonderful record, and I'm looking forward to the continued journey of Pike versus the Automaton and other solo projects, and we'll hear perhaps some High on Fire and maybe even another Sleep song at some point in the future. So, Matt, thank you so much for coming on the Vinyl Guide, mate.
Thank you so much. It's an honor. Thank you.
And there we go, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Matt Pike. Pike versus theautomaton.com. That's where you get the special vinyl variants. And, of course, you can download the new album on your mobile device, on any streaming services. That is out now. And, of course, you can download and listen to some Sleep and High on Fire as well. That's good for the soul, too. And if you enjoyed this interview, make sure to go up to patreon.com/vinyl guide. There's more of it up there if you help support this show. $5 or $10 a month is always welcome, much appreciated, and keeps me full of burritos and beer. And that's it for this episode of the Vinyl Guide. Thank you so much for tuning in. Really appreciate all of you who are sharing these episodes on social media, putting them on Facebook, tweeting them out on Twitter. That is always a huge help. Hell, you can even make a TikTok dance if you want. And probably the most direct, just tell your friends. Show them how to get a podcast on their phone. It's not that easy, you know? Some of these record curmudgeons may not know how to get a podcast, so show them how to do it, hook them up, and I'm sure they'll appreciate it. We'll be back shortly with a brand new episode. So until we talk next time, get out there and buy some records, people. Cheers.